Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar.
Islam,
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 Islam.
Islam.
In the name of Allah, who is most gracious and most merciful, all praise is due to Allah, the Lord of the worlds. Allah is the master of the day of judgment. It's Allah's aid that we seek. It's Allah's aid that we seek. It's Allah's aid that we seek. We give honors to His holy divine prophet, Prophet Noble Drew Ali, who is the founder of the Moorish Science of North America, and the one who taught us to learn to love instead of hate, which is a difficult task. And we act like it's easy.
That's right.
And if we act like it's easy, then we're not actually loving. Because it's difficult. And it becomes even more difficult when you add other people into the mix. But the reality is the first person that is even most difficult to love is yourself.
That's right.
And let me tell you why I know that's the case for me. It's because sometimes I beat myself up for making a mistake multiple times. I beat myself up multiple times for making one mistake. I can't be loving myself if I'm doing that. What other creature beats himself up multiple times for one mistake? So that is just one aspect for me of how I need to learn to love instead of hate. And then I got to bring that to other people. I have to bring that to my wife. I have to bring that to my son. I have to bring that to society. And this loving aspect, this loving thing, it is no joke. It is not for the faint of heart.
That's right.
It is not for weak-minded people.
That's right.
Love is a strong thing. It is not something that if you're doing it, sometimes the brothers will be like, oh, you're being weak. No, I'm being strong.
That's right.
Love is a strong action.
Yes,
it is not just an emotion. It is a strong way of living and being.
That's facts.
And I'm trying to be that way myself. It's hard, but I'm trying to be that way myself. So we give honor to the Prophet for teaching us to learn to love instead of hate. We give honor to Marcus Mosiah Garvey, who was a fiery forerunner who told us, up, you mighty race, you can accomplish what you will. And we believe him.
Yes,
we can accomplish what we will. The Prophet tells us that through our will, we can make things manifest.
That's right.
So if we can accomplish what we will, we've got to get stronger in our ability to will the things that's necessary into the plane of manifest. Islam?
Islam.
So we're working on that as well. I give honors to my ancestors who continue to guide me from here, from the soul plane and here as well.
Yes, sir.
The Quran tells us that man may find himself where he can solve his problems best. And some of you might be one of the ancestors' problems. So if you may be one of their problems, then praise Allah that they're solving their problems best.
That's right.
So we honor our ancestors consistently. They make fun of us sometimes in our study group. They say, y'all the ancestor temple. And we say, praise Allah to that. Because we want to honor our ancestors. Because we know that from lacking the honor of our ancestors, that we then began to suffer a form of enslavement that had never been seen in the world ever.
It's a fact.
Never.
That's
I know
right.
people say, hey, slavery happened everywhere, but there was never a slavery that meant that the womb of the woman who was our woman, that her womb was a tomb. That meant whoever came from her was going to be enslaved.
That's right.
That didn't happen before. That was a particular enslavement for us. And I'm not trying to play oppression Olympics. What I am saying is that we have to understand specifically what type of enslavement it was to know what type of remedy is needed.
That's a fact.
And so it's not okay to be like, well, yeah, everybody just suffered slavery. I know that.
Right.
I know everyone suffered enslavement, but ours was very specific. So now we have to figure out, well, what do you need to get out of the specific form of enslavement that you were in? Because it's not over just because the Emancipation Proclamation was written. It wasn't even over then.
That's right.
Right? And so now we have to figure out what's the remedy necessary to get us out of that specific form of enslavement. Islam. Praise Allah. We honor our ancestors. I give honor to the leadership of the Moorish Science of America. Those who we know and those who we don't know. I'm not interested in only giving honor to particular leadership, because leadership is hard.
Yep.
And sometimes people think leadership is sexy. Anyone who's a leader knows that leadership ain't sexy. It's hard. It's hard work. It's hard to have to be the one that makes a decision that sometimes may hurt yourself, may hurt your own ego, but you got to do it, because that's what leaders are for. I get on brothers a lot, and the brothers make fun of me for getting on the brothers a lot. But a lot of brothers say they want to be husbands. I'm like, really? You sure? You want to make decisions in your household that are for the betterment of everyone and may not be the betterment for your individual self?
Right.
That's what it means to be a husband. So when brothers come to me talking about, my wife did this, my wife did that, I say, well, what did you do?
Yep.
You said you're the leader of the household?
Right.
You're responsible for all that is happening inside of that household and the betterment of it. And leaders take accountability as well as responsibility. Leadership is hard, it ain't sexy. And so I give honor to all those who try to be in charge of a group of Moors. Because anybody knows, if you've been trying to be in charge of a group of Moors, it can be difficult. It can be difficult.
That's right.
And so I give honors to all those who are in that form of leadership. I give honors to each and every one of you, because when man honors man, he honors his father, God Allah. Islam.
Islam.
Praise Allah for everything. Thank you, Morris, for this opportunity to just be here with you all and to speak a little bit. And I will not speak long. I recently had an experience, and I won't go too deep into that experience, but where I was thrown into a form of reverence that I had never been thrown into before. I got a deeper understanding of our ancestors in a way that I had never been before. And it made me sort of shift the way I began to see things in a way, I'll say it again, that I had never seen before. And I'm going to go to the Quran to sort of explain what sort of happened to me. And inshallah, hopefully get your understanding. Going to chapter 1. And I'm going to go over to page 5. And I'm going to go a little bit towards the middle where it says, let me start with without a foe. Islam?
Islam.
All right. Without a foe, and I'm taking a reading from the Holy Quran and Moorish Shine Symbol of America, Circle 7, divinely prepared by the noble prophet, Drew Ali, but a God equals Father God Allah, the great God universe, to redeem man from his sinful and faulty humanity back to highest plane like this Father God Allah. Page 5, chapter 1 says, without a foe, a soldier never knows his strength, and thought must be developed by the exercise of strength. And so this carnal nature soon became a foe that man must fight, that he might be the strength of Allah made manifest. Let every living thing stand still and hear. Man is the Lord of all the plane, of manifest, of protoplasm, of mineral, of plant, of beast. That says man is the Lord of all of these things.
That's right.
And then it says, but he gave up his birthrights. And so we in the Moorish Science of America, we don't have an issue of understanding what our birthrights are. Your birthright is to be Lord of the plane of soul, and of manifest, of protoplant. That is an awesome birthright. I don't want a birthright that just means I get a piece of parcel of something somewhere. Our birthright is to be Lord of the plane of, I'll read it again, manifest, of protoplasm, of mineral, of plant, of beast. But he gave up his birthright. It is your birthright to be a Lord.
That's right.
That's yours by birth, right? And so I never saw this in the way that I began to see it when I was in this experience. I was in an experience in North Carolina where I was with a West African shaman by the name of Malidoma Some, who has a very interesting story. And his story is he was taken from his village in Burkina Faso, and he was taken by the French and taught in their schools. He later found out his father actually sent him there. He thought he was kidnapped. He had no idea. And the French taught him how to be French. They taught him all the things that were necessary in their education of what it meant to be French. They thought it meant what it meant to be civilized, but they were already civilized.
Right.
They taught him how to be them. And then there's a lot of things that happened in that story, and around the age of 19, he escaped from their torture, from their oppression, and he ran back to his village in Burkina Faso. Not all the way from France, that would be interesting, but another place in Western Africa. And he ran back to Burkina Faso. He gets back to Burkina Faso to his people, and his elders see him, and he's coming in, and they stop him. They're like, well, wait a second, where you been? What's been going on? He said, I'm from the French, I'm back. And then they said, well, we're not sure we can let you back.
That's right.
That sounds harsh. That sounds harsh. They said, we're not sure we can let you back. He says, well, why not? Why can't I be back? He said, because you got too much of them on you. He said, and not just you have too much of them. He said, and if we let you in, you could destroy us. And they weren't knocking the people he came from necessarily. What they were saying was, their ways are not conducive to our way of living. If you want to go live with them, cool.
Right.
But their ways will mean destruction for us. And so they said, we're not sure we want to let you back in. And the only way they had to convene and they let him back in, they said, we can let you back in only if you go through initiation, which was a process that they went through when they were 12 and 13 years old. He's 19. And he had to go through an initiation process, which he talks about in his book, which was, it's life and death initiation. Yeah, that's right. This is not just some rituals here and there. No, this is a thing that there are people who always do initiation that don't come back. So he went through this initiation process and trying to become themselves, and he eventually got through the initiation process and wrote a book about it, which is why I'm able to talk about it today. But my point is, I'm with this gentleman, and he's talking about sort of the things that they do. Different than some of the things that we may do in the West, but I listen. Because for me, no matter what school of learning you're in, you listen to be able to understand and get it in your heart, because maybe it can do something to shift you.
Yes, right.
And so as I'm sitting and I'm listening, he says to us, he says, you know, you all in the West, and these are nothing but Asiatics who were with. He says, you all in the West, he said, you oftentimes, you contort yourself so much so when you're worshiping and move your bodies in such a way to be humble that by the time you're praying, you're not even yourself anymore. Woo! I said, whoa, wait a second. And so he essentially was saying the way that you all are approaching the spirit world is not conducive of a person who has authority. And I listened, I was like, whoa, I was like, wait a second, because I've always learned that the way you approach the spirit world is humble and meek, and you know, these sort of things that we were taught, that no matter what tradition I was in, I said, oh, I'm Muslim now, so I don't believe that. That's not true. I grew up in a particular path in a way that just because I call myself something now didn't mean that my actions changed.
That's right.
And so now I was like, okay, now I gotta be reflective. What's happening? Because it hit me like a pound of bricks, and I was like, wow, how do I approach the spirit? How do I approach Allah? How do I approach my ancestors when I go there? What do I do? Am I actually being myself? And he said, when have you ever seen the queen go to someone and beg? I was like, wait a second. So that's not the way that you get something from the spirit world. He said the spirit world likes sincerity. It likes authenticity. So why are you going to them and contorting your body in such a way that at the end of it, you're no longer yourself? I said, my goodness. And then I thought about chapter 1.
Right.
Which said that we were the Lord of the plane of soul. So why don't we go to the plane of soul, the plane of manifest, the plane of mineral, of protoplasm? Why don't we go to those places as people of authority? As ourselves, and say to those things, hey, I'm here, and this is what it is that I'm trying to receive. And it is your job, it is your duty to make these things happen. And so please do your duty. Thank you. Rather than the way I used to go, hey, I just was hoping that maybe, right? And so I said, it shifted for me the way that I saw myself. Right. And the reason I understood how those things had to deal with what the prophet was doing, because he was trying to do that simple thing with a people who had lost completely who they were.
That's right.
We were taken by the French, and we went back to our village and no one was there.
Right.
We were taken by the French, and we went back to our village and there was no one there to initiate us.
Right.
Until the prophet came and said, I've got an initiatory body for you. I've got something to bring you to where you can no longer see the way that you're seeing.
Right.
And then even then, we took it and started to tear it up and do some things to it that had nothing to do, well, I won't say that had little to do with its initiatory purpose. And so from that point, I said, all right, I've got to shift the way I'm seeing myself.
Yes,
because
sir.
when I'm going to those who see me, who sent me here as a Lord, I'm not going as a Lord, I'm going as a peasant. And I'm not that. I am the spirit of Allah that is made manifest.
Yes, sir.
And just because I can't recognize it, I need to start acting like I see it.
Right.
And so I said, I gotta shift the way that it is that I am seeing things. So praise Allah for those teachings. Praise Allah for me being able to see the light in a different way. And since then, I said, all right, Webb-Bey, you got to change.
Right.
You got to shift the way you're approaching the spirit world, because you have to go as a person of authority, a person of dignity and elegance to those who are here to help you in the first place. Islam.
Islam.
Praise Allah for that, and praise Allah for the teachings of Prophet Noble Drew Ali and what he's done for us. I want to take one more reading, and then I'm going to sit down. I think I've taken my 15 minutes.
Oh, you high, Mo.
So I'm gonna take a seat in a few seconds. I'm gonna go to chapter 7, the friendship of Jesus Lamaze. Jesus explains to Lamaze the meaning of truth. Is that where I want to go? Yes. Actually, no. Let me go to chapter 12. And I'm going to go over to page 20. I'm going to start with instruction number 5. We'll start with instruction 4. Instruction 4 reads, the man replied, we scarcely know the meaning of that word. And the word they're speaking about is happiness. We toil to live and hope for nothing else but toil, and bless the day when we can cease our toil and lay down and rest in Buddha's city of the dead. And Jesus' heart was stirred with pity and with love for these poor toilers, and he said, toil should not make a person sad. Men should be happiest when they toil. When hope and love are back of toil, then all of life is filled with joy and peace, and this is heaven. Do you not know that such a heaven is for you? The man replied, of heaven we have heard, but when it is so far away, and we must live so many lives before we reach that place. And Jesus said, my brother man, your thoughts are wrong. Your heaven is not far away, and it is not a place of metes and bounds. It's not a country to be reached. It is a state of mind. Allah never made a heaven for man. He never made a hell. We are creators and make our own. Now cease to seek for heaven in the sky. Just open up the windows of your heart, and like a flood of light, a heaven will come and bring a boundless joy, and the toil will be no cruel task. Praise Allah. That is the elegance and the dignity that I'm trying to approach my life with now. One which sees myself as a person of authority, and that can go to the spirit world and say, hey, this is what I need to be activated. And I have the power to activate it. Not I am too low to be able to come to you, and can you please do it for me?
Yes, sir.
That's not what we are. We're lords of the plane of soul, the plane of manifest, the protoplasm, mineral beast. We're lord of all those. That's your birthright. You don't go asking for what your birthright is and say, can I please have it? It's yours.
Right.
You were born with it. You go to your birthright and say, hey, that's mine. Let me take that back.
That's right.
And the only person who can get their birthright is you. No one can go get your birthright for you. And so I said to, now I'm not talking to y'all, I'm talking to me. I said, me? You got to now act like you're a person who was born with the powers to be able to manipulate, and I'm using the word manipulate and control these things accordingly for the purpose that is relevant in your life. I was sitting here with all the tools necessary to do what I'm supposed to do.
Right.
So I need to use the tools.
Yes, sir.
And stop acting like I don't have them.
Right.
I do.
Yes,
and when
sir.
the foes come about, those are merely things that are strengthening the tools that I already have. That's all they are. And now I've got to get to the point where I stop perceiving them as foes.
Right.
Because you can't perceive a foe if something is strengthening you as something that is bad. And so now I'm trying to get to the point, okay, these things are strengthening me, and all they're doing is helping me to be able to realize and recognize my purpose, which in recognizing my purpose, then I'll be able to help humanity. Islam? That's the path that I'm on, and I pray to Allah, and I ask the ancestors for consistent help and assistance in making sure that I reach that path. And with that, I say peace.
Peace.
Yes, sir. الله أكبر
حي على الصلاة
الله أكبر